what we're going to do is called funneling. This is one of the ideas you hear from time to time in some martial arts systems. And the way funneling works is you take all these possible variations of attacks and we actually try to direct them towards an area where we're actually better prepared than he is, which gives us the advantage. Now, when he throws an attack, based on the things that we talked about in other segments, okay, when he throws his attack, based on creating this structure and me driving in, there's no way of knowing exactly where this hand's going to end up. However, we have three major possibilities. One is that as he throws that punch, I'm going to actually go towards center of mass. I'm not trying to go after his arms. I'm not going to the outside shoulder. I'm going center of mass. Essentially, put that down for a second. All I'm doing is I'm creating basically this position, driving in, trying for his collarbones or his neck or his head, but I'm going straight in. Depending on the actual angle of this attack, as I step in, we're either going to find ourselves with both hands on the outside, which creates this line of attack. We could end up with a split with one hand on the outside, one hand on the inside, and we're in this position playing this game, or we could find ourselves with both hands on the inside. Simply put, just to repeat one more time, we have one of three basic possible variations. Both on the outside, one on the inside, one on the outside, both on the inside, and we got the same three on this side. All right, so with that thought in mind, what we want to do is that we want to really focus on what we do once we achieve that position. He throws a punch. We had no intention of going to that position, but that's what he gave me. The question is, how do we dress this up? All right, that's going to be the lesson in the next segment. Okay, now in a previous segment, we talked about trying to funnel the person into the areas that we're better prepared, and hence we're going to actually have the advantage. Now, the next thing that we're going to do, it's one thing to actually have the skill sets, to actually have the ideas and principles. They do you no good if you don't have a way to develop them and to actually work them into your actual, work them into so they become more natural and it takes less conscious thought. Now, what we're going to do is a structured way to try to give a little bit of freedom in your training, but still have some structure, so it's still directed and you're still learning to think outside the box and you're putting more tools in your toolbox. Now, what we're going to talk about is that funneling approach. So he throws a punch, I respond, and I'm here, and I just poked him in the eye. Okay, that was a bonus, by the way. All right, now from here, now what we're going to do is we actually could have one lesson where the whole lesson was to find the eye poke, okay, or the whole lesson is to find a break. Can I break the elbow? Can I break a rib? Can I break a collarbone? Can I break a knee? And then you want to think outside the box. So what was going to happen is part of this drill would be I would go here and simply find one transition, break, okay, and then okay, it's my turn. I'm the bad guy. I feed. He does the basic entry, and now from here it's his turn to find a break. In this case, he went for the eye socket, breaking the cheekbone. All right, okay, he feeds the attack. So we're here. Okay, now at this point, I could go for the break again because that's what he gave me, or I could simply just turn back, take a knee, okay, and you just simply dress this up the way you want to. But what I'm talking about is a way to structure your training. You could actually take this drill as a starting point and then start to figure out how to build on this. For example, you could actually focus on once you achieve that position, okay, how do you incorporate a kick into this? Or once you achieve this position, how do you incorporate, let's say, an elbow or let's say a headbutt? And then you start to play with it that way. Then once you actually have that in place, then you start doing combinations, and then we start to build on that until pretty soon you're free-forming and finding your own style and your own way of doing this. All right, now what we're going to do in just a second is going to demonstrate some of the principles that we've been talking about in the earlier sections. Now, what's going to happen is Mark Houston and Troy Castro are actually going to show the demonstration. They're going to actually scale it down just a little bit. They're still going to go like 3/4 speeds, but they're going to do what's called match energy, where they're not trying to do it at a speed that's necessarily is top notch. Eventually, we want to get as close to that as we can and still be safe. But what we're really trying to do is two things. One is we're trying to teach them how to fight outside the box. What I'm talking about is I don't want a person to only do what they would do in competition. Since we're a self-defense based system, we want to address the targets, the options, the situations associated with a self-defense system. And then what we also want to do is actually train that into the person in what's called the adrenal state, where a person has to think on their feet and they have to actually learn to make this work under pressure. Now, what these guys are going to do right now is going to be done as a free form. It's not choreographed, it's not structured beyond what has been talked about in previous techniques. This is one of the more advanced drills because there's a great chance if they don't know each other or they don't have good control, these guys could actually end up doing zigging when they should zag and someone gets hurt. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to actually take turns, go back and forth. We're going to do variation of the drills, and we'll kind of flesh out some of the things we talked about in earlier segments as we go. All right, so guys, all right, take it over. There's variations of this drill. Okay, now one of the variations we're going to do is to really get a person to be conscious of what they're doing and to engage the brain more into the drill instead of just simply getting there and slapping the other person and looking like they're doing a lot of nothing but not really being conscious of the targets and the options. What we're going to do is going to actually have them call off their targets. Now when they call off their targets, it requires the person to really be conscious of what exactly they're doing. Now mind you, the hard part about this is, at least I've seen this happen a lot, they start calling off the strike, hammer fist, hammer fist. We're calling off targets. Okay, so we're going to do a couple of drills based on that idea. All right, gentlemen.
Here I broke, going so much breakdown, and got that. I hear smoke going, this called me.
And time. If we just did that, and that's basically as far as the training went, it has some value, not much. Okay, that's not going to go very far because it's not directed training. Now, the next step is to take all these principles and actually try to get a person to install different tools into their toolbox. What would actually end up happening if they did this day after day for weeks, months, or years, is they would start to find themselves gravitating towards a certain combination or way of using the body that's kind of comfortable for them. And that's okay because you're kind of figuring out your own technique in this sense. But we don't want a person to be so restrictive that that's all they have. So what we're going to do now is get them to think outside the box by having them focus on specific sets of skills and try to incorporate that on the fly as they're doing the technique. All right, so what we're going to do right now, guys, is we're going to actually do the same technique. At some point, give me an elbow. Doesn't matter what, elbow, head, ribs, back of the head, whatever you want to do.
Well, face. bicep, back the arm, groin, face and skull.
All right, now take the drill. Okay, incorporate a kick.
Back of the knee, face and skull. Ear, arm, rib cage.
All right, now this time a finger technique, a jabbing motion. Ears, eyes, throat, armpit.
Eyes, ears, throat, headbutt, groin, back and skull. Ears, eyes, face, knee.
And stop there, guys. All right, now in the next segment, okay, what we're going to do is now notice what the if you guys kind of see the pattern here, we're dealing primarily with strikes. Okay, haven't talked about what to do with a tackle or a grab, and we haven't talked about what to do with a kick. That's the next segment.